Hello peeps, Dee here. Welcome to my channel, welcome to my studio, welcome to this little tutorial. Now in this tutorial we're going to use a cane, the Basketweave, and I did include all the instructions for the Basketweave, even though this as a class appears elsewhere. But it's getting to the point where I have more than 200 classes, so maybe it gets difficult to find things. So I'm going to start putting everything into a class, even if it appears someplace else, just so you don't have to go looking for it, okay? All right, deal. Now in this class, we're gonna take this guy and we're gonna take a Skinner blend and we are gonna make little earrings like this. Are you ready? I hope so. That's what we're doing. Let's make some earrings. Hello, Donna Kato here. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the second in my black and white series. Now the goal of this series is to teach techniques, caning and some other things that will eventually be used to make a major piece. Not necessarily this one. I'll decide about that as we go on because I'm going to be teaching a lot of black and white techniques to you. But once again, the goal is to use them together in a piece at the end. All right, so today we're going to do a very basic cane. It's a Basketweave. Now, if you have any experience caning, you probably don't even want to watch today because this is, as I said, and as you know, one of the most basic canes you can make. But if you're a beginner, then I hope you watch. Because I find canes like this, you know, it's simple, but I really think that it's a great supporting player in a lot of instances. So I actually use this quite a bit. So that's what we're going to do. Now, if you look at this cane, you can see, what do you see really when you look at it first? You see a lot of white. Well, let's say you want to make a cane that has more black than white, where the field is darker. That's easy enough to do, and I think that's what we'll do today so you can see the difference. Okay, so the first thing we do is we make a bullseye cane with white in the center. Now this has been rolled through the thickest setting of the pasta machine, and it's 2 inches wide. So I'll cut a little bit off the end at an angle, turn it around, roll it up. And at the other end, I'll make another angled cut. I tend to make my canes rather on the smaller side than the larger side. Now here I'm just taking my brass rod, and you'll see me do this a lot when I'm caning, just to integrate that cut edge into the body of the cylinder. I find it a little easier. I have black clay on my hands all over the place. Okay, so that looks good. And the finished dimension, let's just take a quick measurement, is about 1 inch by 2 inches. All right, let's take the black. This has been rolled through the thickest setting of the pasta machine. I'm going to cut a straight edge this time. And I'm going to wrap it around. And today I'm going to try to keep my hands under my camera. I have to apologize. I tend to wander my mind wanders. I get caught up into what I'm doing, and then I completely forget that I'm actually shooting and that I have to keep my hands under the camera. Okay, so this is probably what I did before. So you can see that it's a rather large white center and then one thick wrap. Okay, I'm going to join them once again with my brass rod. Okay, let's wrap it again. This cane will have a larger black field. There will be more black than in the cane that I showed you in the necklace. You know, there's no right or wrong. This is not more right. It really is just a preference. Okay, join them. Smooth. And let's get that clay joined. Just faster. All right, so now I have a double wrap around the white. Now, I'm going to take, actually, you know what? Let's go even more extreme. I'm going to put one more wrap around so you can see. So I'm going completely in the opposite direction. But why not? Now this clay, of course it's Kato POLYCLAY because that's all I use, and it started out as my scrap, and I mixed the black out in it to make my black clay. I have to tell you, I love that black out. I love it. All right, so let's reduce this. And you can see that the white is rather soft. See how it's starting to come out? That's actually, in my opinion, better than the center hanging back. I can always sort of pull the clay from the outside up if I have to. Okay. It's easier to push this white back in than it is to pull it out. A lot easier. And of course I'm doing a lot of twisting. And I'm trying to keep my hands under my camera. So let's take this out between 8 and 10 inches. That clay's getting that nice. It's at the point where, you know, it's nice and you can just stretch it. All right, let's measure. Okay, that's 10 inches. Let me cut the ends off. Ta-da. that's one end. And let's cut the other end. Cut a little bit further in. Okay, so this is what we have. Just regular old bullseye. Now, the last class I did was the sizzling rice cane. Well, the last class for this series. And basically, we're going to make the sizzling rice cane. And then we're going to put 4 of them side by side. Like so. Okay. All right, so let's flatten them. I want to flatten my pieces. I don't ordinarily do it like this. I honestly don't know. I do clay like my mother cooked. I say this a lot. She was a great cook, but she never did anything exactly the same way twice. It's perfect for clay. All right, so I've sort of flattened them. And let me just even them out with my fingers. This one got very large in the middle. So I'll even that out, put that on top. Let's take this one, do the same thing. Turn them sideways. And then we've got the last one. And put that sideways. So now I've got 4 up. And I'm going to turn this into a square. How about that? I use my handy dandy brayer. And roll each side. Whoops. Okay, I think I will reduce this out maybe 8 inches. And right now this clay is really nice and soft. It's reducing beautifully. It's hanging back a little in the center there. I'm not too concerned. But when you're reducing something square, sometimes you get to the point where you just grip one end, you take your other hand and you stroke, and as you stroke, you're pulling. You can see I'm pulling with my left hand. Stroke, pull. Pull and stroke. And I find that I get a good even reduction, and my square canes end up with pretty nice corners. Okay, good. All right, let's see what we've got. 9 inches. Okay, so let's cut off the ends Actually, I'll squish it back together a bit. That's good. Okay, so let's cut off the end. See what we've got. I can cut a little further in. Yeah, that's okay. They don't all look the same, obviously, and you know, that's the good and the bad thing about caning. They don't always look the same, which is good, and they don't always look the same, which is bad. All right, there's my 8 inches. Stretch it out a little bit. Now divide it into 4. Okay, here we go. 1, then you're going to take the next one, and the pattern runs perpendicular to the first. Then let's go. This one will run perpendicular to the second. This one runs perpendicular to the third and perpendicular to the first. So you can see how much more black I have in this particular basket weave pattern. Okay, let me grab the other one and I will show you in case you don't remember. This was the initial one. You see how much white is in there? And here is the one I just made. A lot more black, less white. And the way that was done was simply by wrapping more black around the white. All right, so that is the basket weave. I'm not going to reduce it further, not right now, because I think you know how that's done. So this is the second in our black and white series, the basket weave. If you've liked it, please like and please subscribe if you want to know. Well, that was a rather strange end to that last part of this tutorial, so I thought, you know what, I'll come back and say a proper goodbye. But as I was preparing to do that, I thought, well, why don't we do one more thing? So I took the cane and I reduced it slightly, so I just have a little more length. Picked up a little piece of magenta along the way. That's okay. Let me clean my blade and let's cut this in half. Now we have this nice square basket weave. But what happens if we change the orientation? In other words, it is now square, but why don't we push these corners in? All right. And why don't we make a new square and see what happens to the pattern? We could even make it round. But sometimes interesting things happen if you simply change the orientation. And why not try? Right? Okay. I'm just going to push that down. Push it down. Push it down. The outside moved a lot more than the middle. Okay, so I believe the person who started doing this reorientation type of thing was Sandra McCaw. And if you have not seen her work or her canes, you really should, because they're very beautiful. Kind of delicate and beautiful. Graceful, I would say. All right, so let's take a cut and see. Okay. Well, I really like that. I like it a lot, and I think it will be very useful in the piece we make at the end. So now we have basically two, because when we put this together, let me just do it really quickly. Leave that one like that. Well, let's see what happens if we just put it together. So we'll cut it in half. Then we can put it back together like this. It's rather nice. I'm going to cut it into 4 pieces so we can play with the way they come together. Yeah, I really like that. But you also get this kind of look to it too. So from the Basketweave, we can go to a pattern like this simply by reshaping and reorienting this so the corners become the flat, and we pull the points of the square out from the sides. All right, so that's it for this class. Thanks for watching, and until we meet again, bye. Okay, I bet you thought you were rid of me, but you're not. I'm back again. Because, and I'll tell you the way I do clay. Obviously, you've probably noticed that many times I don't really have a plan. Things just happen, and then I think, oh, I gotta show you this. Oh, I gotta show you that. And so in that way, I'm more, I bushwhack my way through clay. Bushwhacking is where you go in one direction and then you run into an obstacle, and then you go in another direction and you just kind of wander through, and eventually you get to your destination. So I tend to bushwhack my way through clay. So we started by making this humble bullseye. This is way bigger than the one we made before. But then we turned it into a basket weave. This was a very simple process. Then I took the basket weave and I turned it into this cane that looks like wheat. Doesn't that look like wheat sheaves? And then I thought, well, I can go a little farther. I can make this basket weave and show you how to do this. So then we have these 3 options, not just one. So many of the processes, of course, are the same as this. But the scale is different, right? This is a much finer pattern. And that's what I wanted, because I believe that variation in the scale of the pattern and the pattern itself is really going to be helpful when we get down to making our ultimate major piece in black and white. So let's get started. Now, I'm going to try my best not to repeat too much, because you've already seen so much of it. So this is a really large bullseye, and I made it big because, I may find something else I want to show you out of this bullseye. So you certainly don't have to make it this large. Remember, basically our goal together in this series of black and white canes is just to make enough to make maybe a pod, or maybe a disc, or maybe we'll make a bracelet. We don't really know yet, but you don't have to take pounds of clay to do any of these processes, because each of the things we do potentially is just a part of that finished piece, and it's potentially just a small part. So you don't have to make huge things for this particular series to get to where we're going. All right, now I'm going to reduce this. Now, it's a very large white center, white core, and I wrapped it with 3 thick wraps of black. Still, relatively, there was more black here. In other words, the white was smaller and the black wraps were as thick as this. So it's not going to look exactly the same. So I'm just going to quickly reduce it. The center white is nice and soft. And I like it that way because it's easier for me to reduce, and when the white comes popping out, to actually push it back in. That's easier than trying to pull the white out if it's too hard. So let me reduce this. I will reduce it between, I would say, 3/4 of an inch and an inch. Now, I'm not going to use the whole thing. I'll probably only use half, maybe 2/3 of this, and reserve the other. So I will be back. All right, so I've reduced this out, and I've got about 4 inches here, and I have cut off and I have reserved about 2 inches for another use. Now, here's the thing about this cane. It requires a fair amount of clay because you reduce it and you reduce it and you reduce it, and you've got all this very small rectangle, and then you have to cut it and put it all back together again. So it takes quite a few of these pieces to make the pattern. Now, that's why this is a rather large piece of clay. So let's just measure this. Okay, so this is like 1 inch, 1 1/8 inch in diameter for the white. The black is approximately 3/16 of an inch, and then the length is 4 inches, including the kind of sloppy end. Okay, so this is a good sized it's a good sized bullseye, but I'm going to need quite a few pieces. So let me reduce this out to between and let me reduce this out to about 1 inch in diameter. No. Maybe in total, across the whole thing. So I'll be back. Okay, so for some reason my camera turned off, so I don't know where it left off. But what I did was I reduced to about 3/4 of an inch, and then I flattened it with my hands, and then I flattened it with my acrylic rod. And this thing is long. So let me just give you a length. It's 15 inches long. That's what happened when I reduced it to that diameter and then flattened it further. Now, of course, I'm going to be rolling this through my pasta machine on the thickest setting, and when I roll it through, it's going to get wider, isn't it? It's just going to get wider. So I'm going to stretch it to make it narrower because it's going to get so wide. Okay, so it is now 1 inch wide. That's pretty darn wide. This is going to be wide, but you know, I'm going to reduce it. So okay, here we go. This end goes on the rollers. So let me reset my machine, make sure that I'm on the thickest setting, and let's roll this puppy through. Okay, so I have a mile of this now. So I'm just going to fold it in half. Oh, whew. Fold it in half. Like that. It's going to be a while before you can see the whole thing because it's really long. Okay. Now let's cut this one in half. Cut the end off. Cut the end off. And let's just quickly, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'll just fold it in half. Ordinarily, I would measure and cut because the act of folding creates waste. So, but I'm not going to do that. So you're going to want to actually measure to find the center, but I'm just going to fold it because I don't want to take the time to do it. Okay. Arg. All right, here we go. Or, this is the lazy man's way of measuring. Fold it, and then when you get to the actual folded part, just take your blade and cut across. Flatten and push them together. Okay, so what have we got so far? Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. And I want 8 across. If you look at the pattern, you can see it's 8 lines. And at this point, I think I can actually measure and cut. 12. Almost 14. So I will cut this to almost 7. Okie dokie. Let's put them together. Let's put them together. And there are our 8. Now, one thing about this, when I made this, I'm just smoothing everything down now. Okay, I want to maintain a nice rectangle shape, so I'm going to make this thinner and try to keep the same height. But let's look at this for a moment. Do you see right here where these two slices meet? There's very little separation between them, and I don't like it because then it doesn't look like they're separate pieces. It looks like they're part of the same piece that's kind of this odd shape. So I want more separation between these. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take more clay. I'm going to roll it very, very thin, and I'm going to put a sheet on this side, and I'm going to put a sheet on this side. And you want to make it really, really thin, because remember, they're going to meet, so they're going to be twice the thickness. Okay? So let me do that, and then I'll be back, and we'll kind of continue reducing this. All right, so I did one side, and it occurred to me I should probably do this with you, or show you. So this sheet was rolled through setting number 7. So on my atlas that starts at 0, it's quite thin. All right, so let's put the other side on. And what I'm hoping is to get that separation between them that I didn't get the last time I made the cane. All right. because it clearly, there's so little separation between the slices that it looks like one piece, and I didn't want it to look that way. I wanted it to kind of look like separate pieces, and maybe they even overlap a little, you know. And to achieve that, I needed something that would separate them. Okay, so let's just flatten this out. Now, you can tell that this is a very fussy cane. Kidding, it's not fussy at all. It's one of those canes that, you know, it's not like a face cane where if the eye is in the wrong place, you know it. This is one of those canes where, yeah, it's, you know, there's some margin for error here. All right, so now I'm going to reduce this, and I want this to be really small, so there's going to be a lot of reduction. I'll show you. It's going to be like maybe this size, maybe even smaller. So I'm going to go from this to that, maybe even a little smaller. So let me get that done, and I'll be back with about 10 miles of this. All right. Well, I'm back, and I didn't end up with 10 miles, but I ended up with a lot. Here's one end, and here is the other end. Okay. The thing about this cane, though, is that you don't reduce it. You're making it more or less to size, and that's why you end up with such a long piece that you have to deal with, because you're not reducing the cane. You are making it to size. Okay, so I'm going to cut this into, I would say, 1 1/2 inch pieces. Okay, maybe I'll cut it into 2 inch pieces this time. Now, this time I cut this into 1 inch. So I'm going to cut this one into 2 inches. Okay. Two-inch pieces. Oops. Oopsie. Okay, boink. Boink. Boink, boink. Boink, boink, boink. All right. Okay. Now I've got a bunch of them. I have a bunch. Now let's put these together. Now, the reason why I'm saying a bunch is because, well, I have a bunch of them. And sometimes I have more and sometimes I have less. And I don't, what I'm trying to say is, I don't think you guys should be at all worried if you don't have as many as I do, or, you know, you're going to have as many as you have. All right, so that's the first thing. Now the next thing is to take another piece and position it like so. Then we'll take another piece and position this one like this. So it starts looking like dunk, 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 dunk. I don't know what this is called exactly. And you can certainly put yours in a different, you can create a different pattern. Okay, now let's put this one this way. And you know, I'm not even sure this is a real weave. I don't even know if you could actually do this. It's just, I don't know. It seems like the way things fit together. Now, ideally, and I didn't really pay much attention, but this should be, of course, longer. You should have a long side and a short side. Okay. Like so. And let me squeeze it and make one side a little bit longer. Like so. And you know what? You can see the difference between these two? Well, you can, this is a slightly bolder pattern, not a lot, but it is bolder. But you can see that there's much more separation between the various pieces because of that extra black. So that was a good call on my part. Yay me. Okay, so here we go. I'll just put a few more pieces on. I'm gonna just squeeze a bit and fit it together like so. Okay. And then like so. And let's put one more here. Now you might be asking yourself, how the heck is she going to cut that? Well, you know, it's a really good question. It's a very good question. So I'll show you. I cut a flat edge, but one side is irregular like that. Okay? And, very important, you want to reserve and save a piece of this original weave, the original piece, because when you go to use this, there will be many times when you have to fill spaces in, and you will cut individual pieces off of this one to finish the pattern. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut carefully down like so and make a nice flat side, which is where I will cut. I will just cut like this. Like so. So when I use it, I will make cuts like that. That was really bad cut. So let me just cut on the other side and show you. Yeah, I mean, this is such an irregular shape. There's no way I will ever be able to reduce it. So we make it to the finished size, and then we use it that way. Okay, so that is the second basket weave. Don't forget, keep this. This is what will complete any pattern on anything that you choose. Okay, so now this time I'm really saying goodbye, unless I think about something, doing something else. But I think I will resist. So until the next black and white, whatever, goodbye. Okay, my peeps. So you just saw how to make this cane accompanied by my TV. And I have to apologize again for that. You know, I made that part of the class a while ago. and I evidently forgot to mute the TV. See, I'm in my studio, I'm watching TV, working on clay, then I have to mute my TV, then I go back to my class and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, obviously I messed up, sorry. Okay, so here we go. This is actually, I think, the one I made. Could be, but it's old. I've had it for a long time. I did not make a new one. And then I'm going to use this violet Skinner Blend plug. And this is a really good example of the way they get stored. See all these little pieces? Well, when I roll out a slice and I take out the part I want to use, I'm still left with quite a bit of the blend. So I just put it back on as closely, matching up the color, as I can. So I'm going to use that. I'm using it because you guys like violet. Well, a lot of people like violet. And also because there's no color mixing here. This is just straight violet out of the package, straight white out of the package, Skinner Blend, make a plug. Okay? So I guess maybe I should put that in this class too. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, what I'm going to do now, however, is flatten this out. But I am going to insert the Skinner Blend and the plug part of the class now. Okay, so what we're going to do is make a Skinner Blend, turn it into a plug. Now, I wanted to show you this because this is typically the size of the plugs I make, right? About 1.5 inches. This is what we're going to be doing. See how short it is? It's as if I took this plug and just went, I made it like that tall. That's what we have to do. Okay. I like these beads because you just reach into your box of colored clay and you grab two that you want to Skinner Blend. This is turquoise. My turquoise tends to be pretty blue, so this has probably a little green in it and white. This has more green in it and more white and a little bit of something else. Anyway, let me turn these into sheets. I'm going to Skinner Blend them. We're going to make a plug. All right, here are my 2 sheets. Now, I'm just going to make a regular old 2-part Skinner Blend. The way I do them is I take a corner and I pull it up to the other corner. Then I repeat on the other with the other color. Now I stack them together just like this. And I'm going to make 2 cuts, and those 2 cuts create a 90-degree angle. So here's one. And here's the second. And this is a 90-degree angle. Okay. Separate. Put them back together, not so they look like a kite. Make sure that what you're doing is putting together something that looks like a square or a rectangle, but not a kite. Okay. The corners don't meet. There's area here, which is this color, so that the blend will occur from here to here, and I will still have the original colors on the ends. First time I rolled it through, 2 colors touch the rollers. Not one, 2. Okay, so let's do it. Ta-da! Now, every time after, you're going to fold it the same way. Same color edge on same color edge. Like so. Fold on the rollers, roll through. Same color on same color. Fold on the rollers and roll through. You remember those few things and you will always make a nice Skinner Blend. Okay, so let me continue. I don't know how many times it's going to take. Could take 10, could take 20, I'll try to remember to count 15 times, and this is what I have, and I think this is fine. Now, let's make a plug. I'm going to roll the blend back on itself. See? Rolling the blend back on itself. Not here to here, not here to here, but this way. Yes. Yep. Okay. Making a plug is very simple. It is reverse reduction. You know, when you're reducing a can, you go like that. Well, plugging is like out here and then it comes together. Like so. You can see that the center is getting chunky. Every now and then, stand it up, push the ends in, roll it down again. You can even do that. It's gonna push the ends in, like so. I'm squeezing and then I'm pinching the ends. Squeeze, pinch, squeeze, pinch. Sometimes you develop a waist in the middle. It doesn't seem to want to spread out in the middle. And if that happens, then what you want to do is just grip the ends, twist, and push. And just force it to do what you want it to do, you see? Not a problem. Let's go to the end again. It's getting shorter, getting shorter, which is what we want. I want it to be short, short. Okay. See how short it is now? All right. I think I'll stop here. That is a nice short plug. So, obviously the Skinner blend and the plug were not in these colors, but it's the same process. Now, I thought I would do this with you because you have something like this. Now, I'm not going to need all that much of it. I'm only making one pair of earrings. So let's just take half. And I'm not going to make big earrings. How unlike me. I'm not making big earrings. Okay, I'm going to take my pasta machine, reset it to the thickest setting, and I'm rolling it through. This is the edge I'm placing on the rollers. Ta-ta. So, obviously not the best Skinner blend in the world, so I'm going to continue folding and rolling, placing the fold on the rollers, like so. Folding and rolling. Folding and rolling. Yeah. Okay. And you can see we're getting better. Better, better, better. Is it perfect? No. Not yet. Will it ever be perfect? Probably not. Okay. Will it be perfect enough? Absolutely. Now, I'm not going to be sanding these earrings. And so what I'm most concerned about right now is just the way the surface looks. Okay? If I were sanding, then I would have to fold and roll quite a bit more, because sometimes the process of sanding, you're going to sand some away and it exposes what's underneath. And what's underneath doesn't always match perfectly. Okay? So this is a project where really my only concern is how it looks here. And that's looking really good. I think I will fold a couple more times and see. Now, let me say one thing. because of the way I do this, sometimes the middle part of a blend, I'll make a sheet and then I'll cut something out, and then what's left over gets integrated back into here. Well, basically what happens a lot is that this middle area is missing. And so you find that you end up with a blend that doesn't have as much as these middle values as it originally did. And if that bothers you, then what you can do is just blend a little more white in. Because primarily that's what happened. I removed white. Yeah, I did. Okay, so I have this little bit of white here. So I'll show you what I mean. So make a mental note what that looks like, okay? Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take kind of a thin sheet. It's not the cleanest clay. But, okay, so this is thin. I rolled it through setting 3. Let me just take this triangle. And I do want to maintain some of that violet, so I'm not going to take that tip all the way here. I kind of drop it a little bit like that. And so this white will be blended into this whole sheet. So let me do that. I'm going to place this edge on the rollers. I'm going to roll through. I've reset my machine back to like setting 1. Okay. Now let's just do it. I'm going to fold, just like a regular Skinner blend, this edge on the rollers, roll through. So let me do that. You don't have to watch me do every single one. Probably about 10 times, maybe 15 times. So I'll be back. Make a mental note. That's what it looks like right now. Okay, so this is what happened. It's a little whiter here, and it's a little lighter in through this middle area, but I still have the violet here. So I'm going to stop. Now, as I said, I'm not going to sand because, see on this side, I still have these stripies. And every now and then, even when I was doing it right now, a stripe would just appear. So you're just going to do this until it looks good here, understanding that you're not going to sand. Okay, let's move on. All right, so let's begin. I have a tile. I have my Cara Jane oval template, which is what I'm going to use. I have my violet, and this is the turquoise I'm using for my swirls. Now, this turquoise, I have a turquoise and Kato POLYCLAY, but it's too blue for me. So what I do is I take the turquoise, I add green, and then I added white to this, and that's the color I got. It's a color I prefer. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is cut 2 slices off of here. I'm gonna cut one, I already cut 2 slices, but I'm gonna cut 1 right now. Okay, and they don't have to be very thick, but you're gonna need 2 because we're doing mirror image. Now, this got a little bit thin at the bottom, see? So, because these aren't really huge earrings, see, the whole earring fits on here. Well, maybe all we need is 1. Let me check something out, okay? Because I might be leading you astray. Let me take this slice, which I think is better. Or is this slice, but you know what? I'm cutting. I hate that I'm wasting all those. I really hate it. I hate it. But what am I gonna do? Okay, so this is a thicker one. All right, so let's give this a go because I think I might have been leading you astray. Perhaps. Okay, so I'm just gonna go, see how this like that? Okay, so I'm trying to place this line on the template right down the middle of that. Hello. I think it might be easier to first cut it here. Try to cut straight down the middle like that. So that's my center line. And now here, by taking these notches and placing them on the center line, I can cut. Now I'm using my X-Acto. It's not an X-Acto, it's just a craft knife. I have scalpels somewhere in this studio, but I fear that this clay is just a little bit too thick to actually use my needle. So let's remove the outside like so and see if this works, because I mean, if you don't have to cut two, that's great. Okay. Are you stuck? Don't be stuck. And what happens if we turn them over? Is that an acceptable match? Maybe not. Actually, just pulling them apart. You know what? I think that this is perfectly acceptable. We're going to live with this. No one's ever going to look at you and say, ooh, they don't match. Okay. So let's just say these are our two halves. Okay. And I think that's good. And the reason why I think that's fine is these lines coming down like that. So all you have to do is cut one. Now I have all these extras. Maybe I'll make beads out of these. Something. I'm going to make something out of them because I'm not wasting them. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this and I am going to roll it through the pasta machine. At this point, just a little bit too thick. I'm resetting my machine to setting number 2, rolling through. That's good. Now, this slice is a little bit thinner than this one. That's going to happen. Well, it happens to me. All right, now I'm going to texture using my sponge, rolling them together through the pasta machine like this. Okay, and now I'm just going to find a good spot on this sheet. And cut. Actually, let's do the good old cut the center line first so I can actually see where I'm putting this. Like so. Okay, so here we go again. Now maybe I'll just start in the middle and cut to there. Start in the middle. I haven't made these earrings in a while. Yeah, it's been a little while. I like them, I just haven't made any. All right, now we know what happens here. This goes and it will go back into this pile. Like that, so I don't waste any. No wastage. I know what happens here. I just give, these would be good bug wings. Okay, so let me just plop that one there. Let's plop this guy here. And let's put them together. What do you think? Like so. Now, what I could do at this point, and I thought about doing, was maybe taking either black, maybe some black clay. I'm going to roll it through setting number 2 again. Like this. Going to texture it. And let us just cut. I'm going to move this. I really am afraid I'm going to ruin it. Let's put this guy right against here, like so. And now either I can make this really, really skinny line, or you know what? Why don't I just do this? If I don't like it, I can take it out and do it again. Kind of like that. Hello, dude. You're moving. You're moving. Let's put this back like this. Try to match the angle and the width. Nice thing about earrings, people don't generally see them exactly the same way when they're on you. In other words, if there are small variations, I don't think anybody's going to say, oh, your earrings don't match. I just don't see that happening. Unless they're way off. These aren't going to be way off. No, I don't know if I'm going to leave that like that. I don't know whether I should, you know, I mean, I certainly don't need to leave them in perfect registration. Could raise or lower one side. You know, that's just what you want. What you want. I think I'll push them together like that. Okay. And I think I'm going to lop the top off. I didn't have to lop the top off. I could have like extended it out, but I think I'm just going to leave it like this. I mean, these are things that you will decide for yourself. Okay, so let me take my sponge and do a little texturing of the Basketweave side. And although they aren't the same thickness, it doesn't really seem to show that much. Now, I could have made them exactly the same. I mean, I could have taken these slices, rolled them through the pasta machine. But, you know, that's kind of unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen with the pattern. So this is a case where I really want the pattern to match, okay? Actually, you know what I'm going to do, because I can. Why not? Let's just cut a bit of this away, like so, and just create a stem. Why not? Why not? That is more interesting, isn't it? If you compare the two sides, this one's more interesting. Thing is, if you don't like it, you saw how simple it was to make these. This is not difficult. Okay, so let's put our little turquoise embellishments on. Now, because these are just sitting on the surface, well, heck, I don't have to make them as thick. So I'm going to make them thinner. Thinner, thinner, thinner. Why not? I did have to clean under my pasta machine though. So this is rolled through setting 4, pretty thin. I'm going setting 5. Setting 5. Okay. Now I'm going to texture, rolling through the pasta machine on the same setting. It's just easier. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to cut little rectangular pieces like that. Put them on. Put one on, then put the other on. And, you know, sort of try to match them. Probably not going to be exact, but all right. Okay, so after I'm finished with this, these puppies are going to go in the oven. Do I want crystals? Well, that's another question. Because if I want them, I should probably put them on now. Just a few sparklies. As I get older, I'm liking sparkly things more than I used to. Don't know why that is. Don't know why that is, but it's true. Okay. So let's give that a go. Now, where are my crystals? Where are they? Here they are. Okay, so I love this set, but you have to keep it in here because sometimes these things don't close really tight. And then you end up with stray pieces in the bag. Also, if you ever have something like this, take the crystal out and then close it. You know why? Yeah, you know why. Because if you drop it, you will have crystals all over. All right, let's decide where to put them. I use this. Okay, so I have options. Doink, 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 doink. How many do I want? Maybe just here, here, and here. Okay, let's do that. Here. Here and here, 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 and here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to put any liquid in. I am just going to grab one out of here. These are the tiniest ones, see? And push it down in the hole. Now, I want it deep enough so that the clay, I turned it over. I don't want that side of it. Ugh. Ugh, ugh, ugh. Well, I'm glad it happened now in case it happens to you. Okay, so what I'm deciding right now, I want a bigger crystal. This is too tiny. It just fell right into the hole, didn't it? See how tiny that is? Okay. Let's try the next size and see what happens. Okay, so this is the next size, bigger than the other size. Let me use the back of my pencil to see if that is an easier thing to use. Oops, oopsie, oopsie. Okay, that's better. See, it's sunk down in there. Ordinarily, this is a much simpler process. Maybe today is not a crystal day. Okay, that's good. Come on. Oh. There. Yeah, just a few little sparklies, not too many. Just a few. So let me put these in, and then I'm going to pop this in the oven. Now, I don't give you guys curing instructions because I don't know what you're using. I am going to cure these in my oven for 30 minutes. My oven is, it cures hot, okay? It's higher than 300 degrees. So I start in a cold oven. And because I'm going to be curing again, right? I have to cure a backing. I do. Close this, put it back in the bag. All right, in the oven we go. I'll be back. All right, peeps, these are cured. So, the tile's a little bit warm, but we can take it off now. If necessary, you might want to sand the edges down. I'll just take something like this. Let me move this. This is my Arbonette P180. Just lightly sand the edge. And chances are it's not going to take very much sanding at all. Now, sanding at this point is just going to make it a little bit easier to back the whole piece. So by sanding, if anything is sticking out, if there's any irregularity, I'm eliminating it so it'll be easier to cut the back, to cut the raw backing clay. All right. So let's do it. Let me just scrape some of these things off. Now, if you find that they are significantly different in size, then you can make that correction now as well, just by cutting. These are pretty close. They're pretty close. This one looks to be slightly larger, but you can just sort of, you see, just cut away tiny bits, not too much at a time, like that. All right. Now I'm going to back these earrings with black clay that I've rolled through setting number 5. Now I was going to do 4, but you know, these earrings are actually pretty thick. So I don't want to make them much thicker. Now, let me say that they're very lightweight because they're small. So I could make them, actually make them, make the backing thicker. I don't want to make the backing too thick, however, because Oh, see, I'm already messing up. I'm already messing up. I caught myself though, because now I have to glue. I lost them. They're here somewhere. Luckily, I have many, many, many more. I want to glue these to the back. Yeah. No, these are very tiny. Look at how small the pads are. I think that was kind of a mistake. I ordered them, and frequently I'm like, I make mistakes with sizes, but these are pretty small. I don't know, 4 millimeter maybe? All right, so here, right at that point where the little stem is meeting the leaf, actually a little bit below, is where I'm gonna put this. Now I'm gonna scoot it back just a tiny bit. So I have a little bit of clay there, see? So this piece is not butted right up against this edge. There's a little bit of clearance there so that when I put the black clay down, there's a bit of black clay sticking to the back, like so. Let's do it again. It's kind of hard to handle these. They're so tiny. Good. Now I'm just pushing it down because I want the glue to glue the finding to the clay, not the glue gluing the finding to itself, if that makes sense. It happens. It happens. You think you're gluing something and you're actually gluing it to the glue, which is not what you want. All right, so let's get this going. Textured. That's like way more than I need. Okay. Liquid clay. I've been meaning to dump this out and get new for about 3 months. 4 months, maybe longer. For something like this, though, it doesn't have to be like the most pristine liquid clay out of a bottle that you ever saw. No. Does not. Okay, there we go. So far, so good. Now, I'm just going to get rid of some of this excess because honestly, it's really in the way. Really, truly in my way. I did not wait very long for that glue, did I? No, I did not. And what could happen if you do it this quickly is that glue could give out and you could have to start over. So if you're doing this at home, then perhaps you want to wait a little bit longer than I did. Go for a walk. Get a cup of coffee. Something. Okay. And because I didn't leave very much time, I'm actually trying not to touch it. Trying. Because it has been a problem for me before. And I know it could be. Okay. Okay, this is good. This is good. Now on the backs of one of these, I will put my signature cane. Hello, where are you? Here you are. My really old signature canes. I mean, I won't need to make another signature cane for the rest of my life. I mean, look at this. Okay, let's just put it on. And this one is ready to be cured. All right, let me do the other one and I'll be back. Okay, peeps, I'm back. Now, my friend Lainey gave me this because she bakes her clay on it all the time. Now, I've been using it a lot, you see? So eventually it does kind of degrade. Yeah, it does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of paper and I'm going to punch 2 holes, and I'm going to put the finding in the holes and push all the way down. Now, this paper, as thin as it is going to prevent this piece from falling into any melted parts of the foam. Yeah. I put something on one of these that was kind of thin without the paper, and it got misshapen because it actually sort of fell into one of these little spaces, these little channels that are created after repeated curing. I'm gonna have to find out where she got this, exactly what it is. I mean, this is what we just call foam rubber, not styrofoam, foam rubber. Okay. All right, so into the oven it goes. All right, they're out. Ta-ta! Now, I'm going to put them on a card. Now, some of you have asked where I get these cards. These are actually stickers that I buy from Temu. If you want to find stickers on Temu, all you have to do is search stickers, and you'll be amazed at how many come up. They do change their selection, so if you find something you like, buy lots. Okay, so there are our little earrings on their little card. I used to use business cards for my earrings and my jewelry, but you know, I like using stickers, and I figure maybe somebody's got a kid might like to play with a sticker. Anyway, there you go. Now, I took the leftovers and I made beads. I like these. I like these. A little sloppy here. The joints, I wasn't really careful about that. Anyway, they could find their way in some black and white piece I make, so there's that. Now, this time I remembered this is really a good thing to do as a practice, as a general rule, and I forget. I forget. But when I cured these, I threw in just a little piece of clay like this. So let's see, just to make sure that it's properly cured. And if it wasn't properly cured, this would have cracked. Okay, so that's the end of class. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you make lots of earrings. I think this is a very simple design, but it's very versatile. I mean, you can easily adapt it to a lot of different things. Change the color scheme. Let's say you use, oh gosh, anything, mud cloth colors. You can use earth tones, you can use brights, whatever you happen to like. But it's quite simple. I like them. I like them a lot. All right, so that's the end of class. Thank you for watching. I hope you will like and subscribe if you liked, and if you're not already subscribed. Yeah, helps me a lot, and I appreciate it very much. So for now, I'm Donna Kato, and I am signing off. Bye.